Hi, friends. Thanks for joining us. Hot off a crazy Bomber win. Bomber fans, do us a favor, smash that subscribe button. It helps the channel grow, helps get the word out. Benny, where can they find us on social media?
Yeah, you can find us at Ray Benny Sports. We're on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Check us out also on Reddit and Discord. And don't forget, leave us a rating on your favorite podcast provider.
And of course, special thanks, special shout out to the show's sponsor, Fahrenheit Airbrushing. Stand out on the ice, pavement, field, or the stands with a custom airbrushed helmet, goalie mask, or any type of project. A local Manitoba business with affordable solutions. Check out Fahrenheit Airbrushing on Facebook or call them at 204 891 7431.
And make sure to tell them that Ray and Benny sent you.
Yes, so we can get our piece. What's your number one takeaway from the Bombers kicking the Ticats' ass 40-3?
I feel like this is the Bombers played their most complete game of the season. And it took, what is this, week 15? No, I guess game 15 to do it. But again, it's coming at a good time. You're getting in a stretch run right before the playoffs. You want to get hot. Obviously, teams have showed that in the past. Getting hot in the playoff means a lot more, or getting hot going into the playoffs means a lot more than getting in there cold kind of thing. So hopefully this is the start of the Bombers starting to get hot and completing this season on the right note and going into the playoffs rolling.
And a big thing in the CFL going into the playoffs rolling is having a quarterback going into the playoffs rolling. And I think my number one takeaway from this Bomber win, of course, with all conditions almost perfect, given time from the O line, not having to force throws into the flats because of the pressure, I think Zach Collaros is still an elite quarterback in the CFL. I think that was proven when you can throw the ball at 80% when you have time. When there's a threat of a running game, you have a little more time. So I'm going to say Zach Collaros is still elite. That's a number one takeaway because I've been questioning him without a doubt all year long.
Oh yeah, I mean we all have. I mean we've been questioning him for the last 2 seasons, right?
Yep.
And I like this game from him. I want to see another game to go to that level. He's still got it in him for sure.
Absolutely.
It's there. It just sometimes it just doesn't show up on game day. And yes, a lot of that has to do with the O line struggling. And I know in some parts of this game they went to that sixth O lineman, to help things out. Your bully ball kind of got played, and it was working. And I think the Bombers kind of need to realize that that's maybe what they have to do here to give him protection because this O-line altogether hasn't been very strong this year. The last two games are probably their two best games of the season, right, from this O-line. And this was a solid one. No sacks given up in this game. Again, you got over 100 yards rushing on the ground as a team. Zach was at, 360, 370 total yards, 367. So, everything was clicking. And the O-line is huge. And if you can have that O-line playing well going into the playoffs, again, that'll benefit the Bombers quite a bit.
Absolutely. Who's your player of the game? You're talking about O-line probably having a big game. You just mentioned that they have 0 sacks. So as a group, I like that. But I'm going to give the shout out to the secondary in this game. Multiple times, Bo Levi Mitchell was sitting comfortably in the pocket, but unable to find an open receiver. Multiple times, Bo Levi Mitchell completed a 5 to 6 yard pass with the secondary, the DBs right on the guy and finishing the tackle. A couple of times, the Bomber DBs were right on a receiver at first down yardage and breaking up a pass aggressively. It was great to see them as a unit come together and be very scary. Because, we've been seeing the Bomber D-line, I think they're still last in the league in sacks, unable to create pressure. And Bo Levi Mitchell had time for a lot of this, for a good portion of this game. But the secondary was just there, past couple weeks with the additions of guys like Cam Allen, DeMario Houston, the return of Jamal Parker, although out again with an injury the last game. And we've seen Evan Holm play very physically this year, almost like a linebacker or a strong safety hitting people. So shout out to that secondary in this last game.
Yeah, for sure. Because there was some deep balls, that Kenny Lawler had that the D made the play right at the last second to knock that ball out of his hands. And those would have been huge completions, obviously, right? And even at the end of the second half, the second quarter, like that would have been a huge score for Hamilton if they get it. I know it wasn't the DBs. I can't remember now who deflected the ball. It's not coming to my head right now, but that's a huge play. And the D all around, I think, stepped up pretty good to help these Bombers out. Obviously, pretty good. I mean, you only gave up 3 points,
Yeah,
right?
to
And they
Hamilton.
got sacks. They got 3 sacks in this game against
James
the Hamilton.
Waters.
Yes, against a Hamilton O line that has had a very good season, right? So they were getting that pressure, or at least getting it every once in a while. And I like kind of what the defense was doing there because they were rushing three for the most part again, but they would send that late fourth guy, mixing things up a little bit there. So I guess I went off on a tangent there, not naming my player of the game, but I got to give it to Zach because, like you say, we've been ragging on him quite a bit, and we're wondering if he's lost it and all that stuff. But again, he went huge, 20-25, 367, a TD. Probably could have had more. I know one got called back on a holding call.
Dang.
Or no, hands to face. I think that one was.
Yeah.
And that was the one I think where they had the heavy set in there. And I can't remember who got the penalty, but Dembski caught the ball. But on top of that, I mean, he was pretty good, pretty damn good on the deep ball.
Yes.
Another thing that we were kind of wondering about him if he could do again this year, but he hit some big plays downfield, which a Bomber offense needs. They need to open things up, and it worked. And hopefully they can just keep that offense humming again.
46, 56, 44. Three big plays over 30 yards. And just to talk about the secondary again, 0 plays over 30 yards, which was a huge concern from weeks 1 to 13, probably.
Yeah.
But the Bombers have really tightened up that secondary. I don't mean to play it back to the secondary, but just one of the big plays, 0. I think 23 was the longest one to Kenny Lawler, maybe.
Yeah.
That's pretty good to Kenny Lawler. And he ended up with, 35 yards total?
Yeah. Like I said, some big defensive plays against Kenny Lawler. Just to point out, I loved the second and inches play where Strebler threw the ball. It wasn't the same old, let's just get that first down. And I know we probably would have thought differently if Strebler screwed that up or he got sacked. But I want to see more of that. You got to keep teams on their toes sometimes with those kind of plays. And that's what we wanted to see out of Strebler when they brought him in back in a couple of years ago, or last year, I guess.
How do you see the rest of the season playing out for the Bombers?
Yeah, again, back to it. I don't want to overreact because we've done a lot of overreacting this season. But if they can string it, I know it's a bye week this week, so that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
But if they can string another good game together against the Elks, which is a huge game coming up after the bye, I'm going to get pretty excited about this team's chances going into the playoffs. I'm already probably a little bit too excited because it could obviously go either way, but I like the way the season's going, especially with watching some of these teams. Saskatchewan hasn't been very good so far in the second half of the season. Their 2 wins against the Bombers were close games, and they could have gone either way. Calgary's starting to suffer. That West, and I know BC is playing really good, but that West is starting to open up a bit.
Vernon Adams falling apart again? Surprise, surprise. I'm a little biased. I'm going to be a homer, but if this team is coming to the realization that if everyone does their jobs, keeping mistakes to a minimum, 0 turnovers, and plays fast and physical football, the rest of the league is in trouble. What is so convincing about this win is the Bombers physically dominated the Ticats on both sides of the ball. The way they deployed Chris Strebler, that is the 2019 Strebler that we need. Not he's going to be the next starter. No, forget that. Like, the Bombers played physically all the way through. Like you said, extra linemen that I've been crying for forever. Bully ball at its finest. The Bombers tackling, not letting a lot of yak yards. Even the coverage was physical. Kenny Lawler missing those deep balls. The DBs, Demerio Houston, was on him, making sure he hit the ground. And he was sitting on the ground perplexed because he was frustrated and being physically beaten. So I might be overstating things, but if the Bombers keep it simple and play physical football and make the mistakes minimal to 0, this is going to be a troublesome team for all of the CFL.
Yeah, there was that big hit too. I think it was on Keandre Smith. Someone had him wrapped up, but someone just came. The play hadn't been blown dead yet, but someone just came in and blasted him after that, knocking him back 2 or 3 yards. So yeah, that physicality was huge in that game.
Absolutely. What statistic told the story, I guess, tells the story of the game? I'm going to go 22 rushing attempts, 26 passing attempts. Balance. Jason Hogan has been taking criticism hard this season, and rightfully so. And it was good to see that the offense could play situational and kind of be that chameleon type offense that he wanted. They weren't dependent on the deep ball, but they also weren't dependent on the running game, which led to play calling creativity. Like you said, the second and inches with 1 minute left in the first. Strevler in. Everyone thought it was head down, go for the first down. Strevler took a couple steps back on a weird ass diagonal drop back and saw Dembski open in the flat and actually threw the ball where he could avoid defenders and move forward. Like, and then again with a TD pass to Mitchell, trips on one side. Like, if you give trips to Zach Caleros, most of the time he's going to break down that secondary and find the open guy, and he did. And they had motion. They had a receiver. They had Jared Stearns coming across the line, which forced a DB to come forward, which meant one-on-one. Deshaun Amos against Mitchell, and Caleros trusted Mitchell and just dropped a dime in that. Dropped a dime in that pocket. So creative play calling, balanced playbook. That's what I liked.
And before I go to mine, so what was the deal with Mitchell earlier in this season that he could not get on the field? Because all
I
I've
don't know,
seen
bro.
once they started going to him and trusting him is that he's made plays. Even in this game, besides the touchdown, he had another good reception. He only had three, but a couple of them were huge in this game. So it's good to see. And it's, and Ontario Wilson has obviously done very well since he's come back. So, losing Dalton Schoen, we all thought it was a big hit, but it's a good thing to see this wide receiver core start to round into shape and keep it going. And of course, we got to give credit to Trey Vavel, another kick return to start this game off was huge as well, and getting that crowd pumped and everything like that. For me, statistic of the game, no turnovers. We said going into this, the Bombers needed to not turn that ball over because that's what been killing them quite a bit this season. And they played a great game and played a clean game. Clean game. Holy, I can't talk today.
Oh,
A
it's
little
too
bit
early
too
now.
little too pumped over here. But yeah, that's huge for the Bombers to get away from this. And like you say, Zach threw 25 times, 26 times. No, I guess 25. One was for Strebler. Yeah, and he kept it clean, and made some great throws.
That's what they need to do. Simplify shit and beat the hell out of the other team. I want to swear a lot more, but swearing in happiness, not because I'm mad, which has been the case for most of the season. Uh Also, like you mentioned, zero sacks, also zero tackles for losses.
Yeah, that's
Huge.
fantastic. Wow. Yeah.
Come on. If you could make a trade deadline deal for the Bombers, who would it be for?
Yeah, it's tough. I like that Ottawa trade, or sorry, that Calgary trade for Lorenzo Malden. If the Bombers could have done that, I would have done that. I don't have a player, but for me, again, D-line help. I'd love to be able to get, James Vaughter and Willie Jefferson, or even in the middle of that line, get some more rest and keep these guys fresh as it goes along. The only problem is really the only team eliminated pretty much is Ottawa, right? So how are you going to make a trade with one of these other teams? Toronto is basically pretty much eliminated, but not yet mathematically. But yeah, if you could find some D-line help or even a QB just to bring in to have, not to be the starter, but just in case things go wrong for Zach Laros. Again, Arbuckle would be that guy, but again, Toronto's still in the mix.
Why doesn't anyone want Crumb? Why doesn't anyone want Crumb
Yeah.
at this point? Like, this dude has been showing some solid ball and probably, maybe, would have beaten the Bombers.
Yeah. You know what? I wouldn't complain about Crumb right now.
I agree. Also, D lineman, but I'm going to pick a player. I'm going to go with Daniel Okpoko from the Red Blacks, a Canadian second rounder from last year. Played almost all games, I think, in 2024. Is playing all games as a rotational player and as a depth player. But in regards to who we have on the interior as Canadian linemen, I think we can use some help there. And he's an athlete. Dude played track and basketball, so he can make a difference as a rotational player, a Canadian. Because I don't know if you bring a American defensive lineman, that might rock the rotation somehow, a ratio, I mean. So I think he'd be a solid player to bring in for the Bombers. It was really hard to go into the other rosters. Like, there's some great D linemen on Toronto, but again, they're American. So, and that's what I love about the Canadian Football League too. The fact that you have to take in consideration of the ratio, and you have to be good at doing that.
Yeah.
So,
The trade deadline is Wednesday, October 1st, right? So it doesn't give you another week or 2 weeks. Like if the Bombers eliminated the Elks when they play them in a couple weeks, then you got Cody Fajardo waiting there, right? Kind of thing that you could go after. But yeah, Edmonton's obviously not trading Fajardo this week or anything like that. So there's not a lot of
no,
options. Ottawa's the
Fajardo
only
has to be
eliminated
part of
team.
their plans moving forward. He has to be part of their plans moving
Yeah,
forward.
that's probably the smarter thing for the Elks for sure. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, Blue Bomber fans, smash that subscribe button. Give us your thoughts on, well, there's a bye coming up. But if you want to share some Bomber game memories, if you were there at the craziness at another sold out game, share your memories if you can remember them. Sometimes I can't.
Yeah.
CFL fans, uh, still talking about changes to the CFL game. What change would you slash I like to see the CFL make to the game? I'm not going to budge on this. It's obviously the one damn division that I'd like to see and the playoff format. I really don't like the possibility of the crossover where the team is hosting another team that has a better record than them. I think that's ludicrous. They got to stop that. Take the top six, give the top two buys. I know it sucks because people are going to miss the East West rivalry, but to be honest with you, when I was at the Grey Cup, no one talked about East versus West at any of the parties or at the game or even on TV. So I'm not too attached to it. I get it. It's nice to have that ugly ass trophy with half a leaf here and half a leaf there, but get a better trophy and name it like after Wally Bono or Don Matthews, and that'll be whatever the winners of the semifinals.
Yeah, I agree with you. That's the same thing I took as one division at this point. Even if you can get that 10th team, maybe if you got that 10th team, two divisions work, but I kind of think you're getting to the point where, yeah, it should switch to one and have it top six make the playoffs. There's no crossover. The top team, whoever that is, will get the home game and all that. The only other one I would probably like is more of a balanced schedule, but for me, that would require then going down to 16 games, so that you're playing every team twice. Like especially if you switched to one division, I think you'd almost have to switch to a 16 game. But then again, that hurts the CFL because it's gate driven, and
Yes.
most of the teams need that extra home game that they're going to get out of those two games, or that they're going to lose, right?
Yeah.
So I don't see that one working. And again, that would work great once you got 10 teams. It's 2 games each, and that's it, right? I hate the unbalancedness of this all because you don't know who you're going to get. Like the Bombers get Saskatchewan 3 times this year, right? Best team in the league, whereas whoever else doesn't get Saskatchewan 3 times, and I know and stuff like that. So it always creates a little bit of unbalance, and one team getting a benefit of maybe playing the worst team in the league 3 times,
Of
especially
course.
for the West. So, and that one game could be the difference between them making the playoffs and the other team missing the playoffs.
Yeah, I don't put too much weight into regional rivalries other than Labor Day and those return matchups, to be honest with you. Like, I don't think any game is more heated against Toronto or Hamilton than it is against Calgary or BC. Like, I'm sorry. Maybe I've lost the love out of that rivalry, but I'm not feeling it anymore.
Which one?
East versus West.
Oh yeah.
That it needs to be Eastern team versus a Western team in the Grey Cup. Like, maybe because we're in Winnipeg and we've seen the Bombers be part of the East and play Calgary and BC and unfortunately Saskatchewan in the Grey Cup, which I believe might have been, was that a crossover chance there? It doesn't matter. The East versus West exclusivity doesn't exist anymore.
Well, I mean, you're probably getting a crossover this year, right? And I mean, Montreal's looking pretty good. If they stay healthy and Davis Alexander stays healthy, Montreal's probably the cream of the crop in the East, right?
Yes.
So, but you can easily have a team go in there, not easisly, but a team go into Hamilton and beat Hamilton,
Yeah.
and then possibly, you got a good game against Montreal, but you could have an all West Grey Cup final this year, anyways.
It wouldn't be the first time.
No, so
Just have the 6 best teams in the playoffs.
yeah.
Stop with the ridiculousness already. Come on. Or you know what? You know what else I'd like to see get changed? Get rid of that onside punt. I hate that. I hate it. Montreal's the only team who pretty much does it, and it's embarrassing to watch. Guy
Yeah.
punts it over the line of scrimmage, and it's a first down. Come
Have,
on!
have they used that this year? I don't think so, right?
Not this year.
No, but that should be gone for sure. That should not exist at all anymore.
I have a couple more things, but I'll leave them for the off season. CFL fans, what's the next change that you'd like to see the CFL make? And of course, a lot of people are talking right now about the field being shrunk and having opportunities to grow in the American market, which I think is something obviously the Board of Governors and the Commissioner are thinking about. Don't bullshit ourselves, CFL fans. Don't bullshit yourselves. They are looking at the possibilities of expanding the league into the South.
Ugh, yeah. I think everyone's skeptical though, right? Because of how it turned out the last time. But
I think they just have to be very selective.
yeah.
Very selective of the markets. St. Louis would probably be a good market.
Yeah.
Portland might be an experimental market. Quebec City would be a good market. Like, come on.
The only thing that worries me about St. Louis, and I agree that they would be a very good market, is that the NFL seeing again that, hey, St. Louis is a pretty good market, and then eventually expanding back there, kind of like they did with Baltimore at the time, and then screwing the CFL over again, kind of thing with that. So, but yeah, St. Louis, I mean, that's the only place that's selling out the UFL, XFL, right? Or not maybe that's selling out, but having 30,000 fans, which would be perfect
Yeah.
for the CFL.
Or a team in Montana.
One thing that you said though, Quebec. I'd love to see another team at least in Quebec.
I think Quebec City, I don't know why that hasn't been explored with the Val Rouge or Stadium. Invest some money in that one. You make it like a 15,000. It doesn't need to be a Grey Cup destination right away. Come on.
Yeah.
Any which way. Off-season talk. Let's go into the CFL Power 4. We don't do the power rankings all the way to the end because the bottom 5 are. So let's go CFL Power 4. Who do you got at 4?
I'm gonna pop a Winnipeg into number 4. 2-game winning streak going on here. I know last week wasn't pretty, but this week was very pretty. So I'll put them at 4.
Yeah. Statement game against a first place team in the East. And it wasn't that Hamilton played badly. It's Winnipeg kicked their ass. 3 points, they imposed their will. Number 3 ranking, I'm going to go with Montreal. Uh-oh. Davis Alexander is back. Montreal is back. Danger.
I'm dropping Saskatchewan down right now to number 3 because, like I said, they two losses in a row, making tons of mistakes. Trevor Harris is looking like old Trevor Harris right now, and this dates back even to the 2 wins against the Bombers. Harris did not look good in that, so I'm putting Saskatchewan at number 3 right now.
I got Saskatchewan at 2. Yes, the Elks beat them. Man, I thought it was a hard game to go into Edmonton again. Not even mentioned yet. Much love to the Edmonton Elks family and the loss of Larry Thompson, their owner. Like, that is a tough one to go into and win. They were inspired, just like Hamilton was inspired the week that they lost Ted Govea. So I'm not surprised that were they coming off a bye as well that week?
The Elks? No, they were coming off.
No, Saskatchewan.
I
can't remember.
Yeah, I think so.
So yeah, a little blip that knocked them out of the top spot. Not a good loss at all, but I'm going to have Saskatchewan at 2. So who do you have at 2?
I got BC at number 2. 3-game winning streak. Offense is roaring, and I know Rourke had a little bit of a rough first half against Toronto with some interceptions, 3, I believe. But yeah, BC is getting hot, and they're looking good. If that defense can shore things up, I think they might make a decent run.
So clearly, I have BC at number 1. Big win against a desperate team. It shows that they can also grind out a win. Because the thing about BC is like shootout. Yes, they could win. because they could go toe to toe offensively. But can they grind out a win? And I think they showed that through adversity with Rourke, like you said, with the interceptions. He still ran in 3 touchdowns?
Yeah.
So it shows that they'll find a way to get that ball into the end zone. So I think that and their defense is still trending upwards with Mike Benavidez. So I got them at number 1.
I got Montreal at number 1. Just they're a totally different team with Davis Alexander, man. If that guy can stay healthy, they rolled on Calgary here again, whose defense is falling apart at the seams. But yeah, I like Montreal. I believe Montreal's obviously with Davis Alexander stays healthy, they're going to take first in that East for sure. And they'll be tough to beat in the playoffs, especially if the defense starts playing well. As on top of that.
That's a thing, eh? Like when it comes down to the end of the year and you're going through the struggle and the Knicks are starting to pile up and teams have a lot of tape on you, how do you adjust?
Yeah.
And Calgary there's a lot of changes in that locker room going into this season. So now they're being tested and they're falling short.
Well, yeah, it connected quickly for them on defense, right?
Again, Vernon Adams. Let's move on to some Winnipeg Jets talk. We got some Jets bold predictions, 1-word answers, quick and dirty. Does Kyle Connor break 50 goals?
Yes. I believe this is finally the year he does it, especially because he needs a new contract.
That was way more than 1 word.
Oh, so
I'm going to go
yes.
No. Do the Jets get a deal done with Connor? Yes.
Yes.
Does Perfetti break 30 goals?
Yes.
No. Who leads the team in points? Scheifele. Highest scoring defenseman?
Josh Morrissey.
Does Hellebuck win the Vezina?
No.
Probably. Does Comrie play more than 25 games?
Yes.
No. Do the Jets finish top 3 in the Central?
Yes.
Bank. Jets fans, put your 1-word answers in the comment section below. I have to strangle you for the 1 answers there. I know.
Sorry.
It was your idea.
I know, sorry.
It was your idea. I'm like, what? I could have went off too, So I'm going to keep you on that train there. Jets fans, also, don't forget to smash that subscribe button. We're going to start adding more Jets content going into Jets season. We can't wait. Unfortunately, Dylan Sandberg got hurt out 4 to 6 weeks.
I think it was 6 to 8, was it not?
6 to 8 with a broken wrist.
Maybe you might be right about
going into
wrist,
that board. Oh my gosh. So that's not a good start, but I don't know.
I guess now it gives the opportunity for Solomonson. I don't think Hainala is going to be that guy, but I don't want it to be what's his name, Logan Stanley.
Ville Hainola. I'm still not getting his jersey. Benny, you have anything to say to our friends?
You know what? Just thanks a lot for listening. Don't forget to subscribe and follow. Enjoy the Bomber bye week. Have a good one.
Yeah, we won't be having a show later on in the week, but check out all of our previous videos. Don't forget to check out the interviews we have with Bomber alumni. We'll try to get that back on track in the off season. Just been a bit busy here at Ray and Benny, but we'll see what we can do. And keep commenting on posts because we like to draw those comments and talk about them with Bomber Nation. So, in the meantime, in between time, that's it. Another edition of Ray and Benny Talk Sports. Hey, friends and neighbors, don't forget to check us out online on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter at Ray Benny Sports. And don't forget to check out our YouTube channel. Leave a like, leave a comment, tell us what you think.